How's it, Aloha, Unc? Burpee Yoga Uncle. Just did a great interview, chat, talk about with Robbie. His information and channel is below. He's a 25-year military vet, plus 25 plus years. Just retired a few years ago. He just wrote a great book. It's a huge book about his how he became a ranger. So it's a fantastic one. You should go check it out when the book is released. So the hour-long chat that we had at the beginning was about how he got an idea in writing the book. Then after that, we were interested in finding out how he got to publish his book through Kindle and what are some of the pitfalls in doing that. And then after that, we talked about the fact that he can speak 3 different languages, how he was able to do that. And lastly, we talk about his stay in Hawaii, which is obviously that's where I'm from, so it's near and dear to my heart, and find out some of the stuff about living experience in different parts of the world. We really want to thank you very much for tuning in to our channel. Please hit that like and subscribe button. We are trying to get to 2,000 simply because it's a goal. I mean, that's pretty much all there is to it. Please help us reach that goal, because just even though it's a minimal goal, it has to be a goal, because if you don't have a goal, it's kind of like a boat without a rudder. Always set goals for yourself and whatever you're choosing to do. And with that, here comes the video. And obviously, we thank you for all your support, and of course, we always pay it back forward, as you know. Your Unc does that. And here we go with the interview. Bless up. Fitness, foodies, and the fabulous absurd. From burpees to Camus, you're never gonna know what you're gonna get from your Unc, Burpee Yoga Uncle. All right, man. Well, how's it? And aloha, this is your Uncle Burpee Yoga, and my guest here, Robbie. So I would say, Ohayo gozaimasu. Robbie,
Ohayo gozaimasu.
O genki desu ka?
Hi, genki desu ne. Anata no, genki desu ka?
Oh my God. Okay. The reason why we're doing this is because Robbie here has been serving in the military, our great military, for 25 plus years, and on top of that, he did many things in his lifetime, and he wrote a book about it. So I was very intrigued because, number one, I'm interested in how you go about writing a book process. I'm interested in your journey in the military, and I'm interested in how you go about learning so many languages too. So one of the languages obvious that you do know is Japanese, right? And you also know Laos, which is very rare. And you know Thai, and I assume you know some Vietnamese too?
Maybe a little bit of Vietnamese, but so my level of fluency in Thai is probably the highest, because I've tested out at the Department of Defense level, at a 4 level for the Department of Defense. So that puts me at the level of like not a native speaker, but maybe a couple of steps down from being native speaker. And
right.
So level in Tagalog as well.
Right. That's the other thing too. So if you go to the description of this particular video, it'll show all his accolades, and he's with 101 Battalion. I mean, I'm not like a military brat, so I don't know most of the things, but I know 101. I know about the Ranger, and from Hawaii, I know about the JPAC thing. So I mean, you've done all that. So my question to you is, first of all, why write a book?
That's a heck of a good question. The best answer I can give you is why not? Because I'm not, because the thing is, I realized after I retired 6 years ago, I found myself telling a lot of stories to people, and I found myself kind of tripping over what story happened where, and because there's so many things that people ask me questions, or want to know about the military, they want to know something that happened to me, and I'm trying to give them a good picture of what's going on, but a lot of times when I end up telling the story, it lacks the context. So you don't really understand why the story is significant, why something happening is significant. For example, like when you're in Ranger school and everyone's exhausted after no sleep for 3 days, and you see the guy in front of you walk off into the ditch on the side of the road and basically falls asleep and walks into a ditch, and I'm here trying to help him out, and I'm hallucinating. I think he's the Tin Man from the Wizard of Oz. But I wanted to take these stories and I wanted to put them together into something that could be, I wouldn't say easily digested because it's a heck of a long book, but something that you could, in an organized fashion, so people could kind of tap into that and, kind of understand more about the military and kind of appreciate, the sacrifice that the guys and girls who are still in there are making to this day. So,
so yeah, so your book is not a short read. It's like 900 plus pages.
Guilty as charged.
So it's I mean, you can pick it up in Kindle, and it's for a very good price. So when you first started trying to make a book, did you plan to write a book that's like 900 plus pages? That's like Dune level kind of books.
No, I never set out to rewrite War and Peace. That was never. I didn't want to write
900 pages, like really. And I'm pretty sure it's not like big fonts. I'm pretty sure they're standard font sizes.
Yes. Well, the thing is, I had no idea how long the book was going to be, and when I first started thinking about the book, I was kind of conflicted about what I should cover and what I shouldn't cover, and I had originally wanted to make it like a lifetime journey, but then I realized as soon as I got down to writing that, and it was Ranger School is only going to be one chapter actually, and I was going to talk more about the Q course and Special Forces and my experiences on deployments and in Asia, but then I realized that there's so much that needs to be told for just the first 5 years of the military.
Exactly.
This book only covers 5 years of my life in the Army.
The 900-page book only covers 5 years of your 25-year career?
Yes. So that's why it ended up being, and you guys you can't even tell you how agonizing it was. The hardest part was to cut out stuff. Because I cut out like whole sections that I was like, no. But
so basically the book is about your journey from, I would assume, coming out of high school to becoming a Ranger.
Correct. Yes, sir. That would be accurate. Yes.
Wow. And then what made you choose in high school? Obviously, we don't even know what we don't know. One of my favorite phrases. Yeah, so how did you figure out that you wanted to be a Ranger when you're coming out of high school?
Oh man, I mean that is a crazy journey. So when I was in high school, and the book actually starts from me being in high school. It doesn't take me from being like a toddler, learning how to walk and all that stuff. And anyways, it starts from in high school, and essentially, I had a really normal upbringing. I had some family in the military, but nobody was active duty. I wasn't an Army brat or Navy brat or anything like that. I didn't have a couple guys in my block joined the Marine Corps and went away for a couple of years, and a couple ended up going to Desert Storm, the first Desert Storm, and there wasn't a big push for the military where I grew up. So that's why your question is great, because it's surprising that I even ended up in the military. I started out, I was a high school athlete. So I guess you could look back at that. If I had to say what thing kind of would give me the drive to want to, to want to be in the military and take on the hardest challenges, it would have to be like growing up, playing football, baseball, basketball, and the coaches, how hard they would push us. And I would always, a lot of people would hate practices. I would love the practices. I couldn't wait to get back out there and have them, crush my soul again another day. So I kind of became this glutton for punishment and wanting to work harder. You're doing your thousands of burpees. You can relate to that.
You just love the grind, basically.
It's the grind. I became in love with the grind, but I just didn't know which direction it was going to go. I thought it was going to be college football. I wanted to play offensive line for the New York Giants, for goodness sakes. When I was growing up, there was the '86 Giants winning the Super Bowl. That was huge. I wanted to be a New York Giant, man. But then when I got into, I went to a small college, Division III college, and then around the time the Gulf War started kind of ramping up, and there was a lot of, the country was at the beginning. The country was pretty divided over, whether or not we should be involved with the Middle East. And to this day, I think we could probably have a decent argument about that, but that's for another day.
Exactly.
But anyway,
so did you know? So since you didn't come from a military family background, did you know what a Ranger is? Because I had some friends in high school that was in ROTC and stuff like that, and they want to go into the military. I think one of them got really high in the commander or whatever. But I have no clue I don't know is Ranger kind of like a higher end version of a Marine or something?
Well, the Rangers and Marines they're similar, but they're not affiliated. So the Marine Corps is actually in the Department of the Navy.
Yeah. I know, but it's like similar. It's like Rangers for the Army, right? So Rangers is the Army version of the Marines?
Correct. Yeah, yeah. So the Marines, you got like special, like there's different tiers, I guess you could say, for like special operations, and you've got like the Ranger battalions, which are the ones that are at let's see, in Georgia, and then you got one on the West Coast near at Fort Lewis, and let's see, I think you got yeah, there's three different Ranger battalions, and they work on they work with different mission sets. They work under like a different tier as far as like strategic.
Why did you pick Ranger versus, like, I mean, the most popular in all the movies always the Marines? Why didn't you pick the Marines? Or
I don't know, Navy Marine recruiter. It's interesting. Huh? Well, you know, that's interesting. I talked to a Marine recruiter, and the thing, it kind of just worked out that the Army was getting ready to. The Army needed somebody right away. The Marines I would have had to wait longer to go into the Marines. So it's sort of by happenstance that I ended up in the Army. Which I'm glad for. I mean, I love the Marines. I got some great friends in the Marines. I just think the Army was a good fit for me because of how versatile it is and how many things, you know, it's a lot. It's bigger, so there's more places you can go as far as you know, job skills and stuff like that. So,
I wonder what's the fascination with Hollywood and Marines, but there's a couple of movies about Navy SEALs, but there's like no movies about Rangers I can recall. Like what's up with that? I mean, you guys, it's just. I mean, yeah. Like, why the Marines always?
I'm not sure. I think it's because of let's see. There's a bunch of World War II movies, of course. You know, with Iwo Jima and all that stuff. That and the battles in the Pacific. You know, Chesty Puller. Everybody's gonna kill me for butchering that. Chesty Puller. You know, all those. You know, you have a lot of legendary Marines that are relatively household names. Of course, the Army side, you got Audie Murphy and those kind of guys. But you know, Audie Murphy is a big red one. He wasn't, you know, Rangers sort of fly under the radar, if you will. You know.
Yeah. So when we go to military action with the opponents, the first line of people that goes in contact is actually in general the Marines, or that's not the case, or.
You know, honestly, there's no real good one size fits all answer to that. I think it has to do with the theater, and has to do with what the mission requirements are going to be. You know, if you want to really talk turkey, you got a lot of CIA would be on the ground long before any of the shooting starts. Right. There's a lot of national assets that would be gathering intelligence, about which I probably shouldn't be talking. No. But anyway, but then you got the special forces, which I later became, otherwise known as Green Berets. And there's a
lot of movies about Green Berets. That's part of the Rangers.
No. You see, that's interesting. That's a great question. See, they're totally different than Rangers.
Oh, jeez.
So the best way to describe it is you got like your national assets, you got your intelligence, like CIA, and then you've got like other in the military related assets that are at that sort of around that level that do a lot of the pre-work. If we're gonna, you know, get into a shooting match, you know. We have a two-way live fire, and then you get those guys in there first doing some preparation of the battlefield, and then from there the mission is analyzed by the Pentagon, and then different skill sets are sort of like they decide what they're going to need to do to accomplish the mission, right? And then they'll send in, like, depending on, like, for special forces, they're regionally located. So, for example, in the Philippines, when after 9/11. There's a lot of terrorist groups in the southern Philippines. Our forward battalion and first battalion at Okinawa deployed to the Philippines shortly after 9/11, and I ended up going there on the second wave. Later on early in 2002, to do sort of like working with the Filipino special forces and whatever host nation forces to help them fight the terrorists. And you saw that with Afghanistan. I think there was a lot of the special forces were on the ground. You saw the news clips with the guys riding the horses. Remember those?
Yeah.
Those guys were special forces. They're working with the Northern Alliance to take down the Taliban.
Oh.
So that's more of an unconventional warfare. Whereas Rangers would specifically go in and they would seize an airfield, ahead of and clear the area ahead of the main assault coming in, the main forces. So the Rangers.
Oh, okay. You guys are like the prep guys.
Right. Yes. So the Rangers would be kind of like, it's to simplify it.
So in terms of the book, tell us the steps of how you. Okay, I'm going to decide to write a book. Okay, now how do you figure out how to publish it, and how do you get it into Kindle? Like the whole process, so people know how to get a book into Kindle.
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, getting the book into Kindle is not so bad. The main thing is you get the manuscript done first, which is easier said than done. We can talk about that a little bit later. But as far as like the publishing process, it's mostly about the formatting. I see Kirsten is here. Nice to see her. Yay! And it's mostly about the formatting of the book, so Kindle will accept it. So the main thing is you just open an account, and you can use your same account that you use to make purchases. You just add on to it. So if you have an existing account, then you do the manuscript, and the hard part is the formatting and the cover design. That's something I outsource through Fiverr. And there's certain people in Fiverr, my experience has been about 50-50 with it as far as, for example, the book cover that you see, that's the one that was designed by a young lady in Pakistan, actually.
Whoa.
And she did a great job, and she was wonderful and very good at communicating as far as what I wanted. And then I outsourced a couple more people as to do, like, they were supposed to do like formatting for me. But the products they returned to me were just, I was like, okay, never mind, So I'll just do it myself.
So the hardest challenge is formatting for Kindle. And then they give you parameters in formatting your particular book. And then if you don't do it correctly, they reject your book.
That's exactly right, 100%. I just saw a really good question here.
Yeah, he's in the military too, Groff. If you want to jump in, Groff, there's a link on the chat. You can actually come in person to person and chat with Robbie. But he's in the military as well.
All right. Yeah, that's awesome. So his question was, what was your favorite phase of Ranger School? Bedding, mountain, or swamp? That is a great question. Thank you for asking that. I have to say the mountain phase. And the main reason, I loved the instructors, and all the phases were amazing. And actually, by the first time I went to Ranger School, I went 3 times. I didn't graduate my first time. Truth be told.
It's like I'll be a lawyer.
I know. I told you I'm a glutton for punishment, right? I couldn't do it. Couldn't just go through once. That's part of the reason why my book is so long, because it's about a Ranger journey that encompassed 5 years.
Times 3.
Yeah, and it talks about all 3 of the times that I went and finally graduated. So the first 2 times I went, there was actually a desert phase. Oh, okay. I did 4.5 of a 4 long ago. Just a combat vet now. Well, thank you for your service, sir. God bless you. Thank you so much for your service. That's great. It doesn't matter if you serve for 25 years or 4 years. Mountain phase is horrific. But the reason I like the mountain phase the best, I have to say, it's one of the reasons is the blueberry pancakes. They're legendary.
Wait, you talking about food?
Swear to God, man, blueberry pancakes are legendary. They're the stuff out of King Arthur.
And then, so when you publish the book like the way you did with Kindle, do you have to go? They are the publishers, so you don't have to, like, the rights of the books belong to you, and you can anytime take it out, or like I don't understand. I don't know about the rights of a book. Like if you go the regular way of publishing a physical book, you go to a publisher. I don't know who owns the rights to it. I know they get the right to publish it, and then they take a split or whatever. But in the Kindle world, where everything is digital, so how does that work with Amazon?
Okay. I think I see what you're getting at. As far as the rights go, Kindle, you actually have a lot more control over your own book. From what I understand, now correct, if somebody knows more about this than I do, correct me if I'm wrong, because I've never actually published a book conventionally. They call it conventional route of publishing.
Yeah.
What you would do is you would either pitch your manuscript to a literary agent or directly to a publisher, and they would have to accept it. And then they would take your manuscript and they would look at it and they go, and it would take maybe months, who knows, maybe years for them to get back to you. And they might say, well, I don't like this, or they might say, take this out, and don't use so many, you need to be more,
like an editor. It'll be like your editor. The publisher will be like your editor that tells you, hey, this part will work, that part don't, this book is too long, too short.
Right. So they would decide, they would have a lot of the creative control. It's kind of like, signing with a record label. You have more creative control when you're self-publishing. So as far as the rights go, once you publish the book, they own the rights to your book.
So Amazon owns the right, or
Yeah, so they have the rights to it, so they can do whatever they want to with it.
So right now, by you using Kindle, Amazon owns the rights to your book. When does it go back to you?
Oh no, that's the thing. That's the beauty of it. I still have the rights to my book.
Oh, so in the real world publishing with a physical book, if ABC Publishing would publish your book, they would own the rights to your book.
That's correct. Yes. But
in Kindle world, you own the rights.
Right. So they're not really a publishers. They're not trying to, as far as I understand, they're not stepping in as the publisher. They're facilitating you to publish. So they're more of an asset to help you publish it yourself.
And they don't care what you write. They don't.
Obviously, there's going to be certain standards that when you put the manuscript in, they're going to screen it, and obviously, depending on what their standards are, but they're very lenient as far as like what you can and can't publish.
They would have a guideline for you what you can and cannot write about.
Exactly. But other than that,
at the same time, they're not going to go in like a regular publisher and tell you, hey, you know what, this particular section, can you shrink it a little bit, or
right.
Or can you add more information to this part, because they don't tell you that.
No, they don't tell you anything. I mean, they just look at the book strictly for, like you said, the guidelines. Oh, that's all the and then the formatting and as far as just so you know, also there is going to be a physical book. I am publishing a paperback through Amazon.
I was going to ask, yeah, exactly.
So, but that's a lot hard. That was a lot harder to format, and it's going to come out on the 4th of July. So that's also going to come up on the same date, and you'll be able to, but you can't pre-order the paperback. You can only pre-order the Kindle version.
And is that through Amazon as well, the physical copy?
It is. And what the beauty of it is, you don't have any inventory. You don't have to manage inventory because they print on demand.
Now you make me want to write a book.
Oh, heck yeah, you should, sir. Yeah, you have a lot of stuff to say, I think.
That's interesting. Yeah, now you make me want to write a book, because now from the time that you go, I want to write a book, and then you finish your manuscript, how long did it take once you finish your manuscript to get it on Kindle to be released in July? Like, what's the entire journey timeline?
Oh, that's so that was a very circuitous journey, because I actually started kicking the idea around back in October of 2020. And I was like, yeah, so it's almost 2 years in the making, because so anyways, it was very interesting because I had this idea. And so I'm an ideas guy, but sometimes that's to the detriment of my organizational ability. I'm one of those guys that has ideas, but sometimes I have to reel them in, and so somebody else reels them in for me.
Do what you're told. You're paid for your pay grade. Don't think other higher.
Exactly. Yes, that's true. Yeah, you know it exactly. So I am an ideas guy. So I just sit down one day and I start hammering it out. And it was just a bunch of stuff that I was thinking about. I was like, man, this is pretty good. So then I started developing it some more. And then at that point, I didn't really know what direction it was going to go. I didn't know if it was going to be a full, lifetime of work, and then I started thinking about it as only just a Ranger School focused book, not the whole other part of my career, and that took several months, and then I stopped doing it. Stopped doing it for a few months, and because I got discouraged, and then I was like, you know what, I'm going to go back and do this. And finally, I just started working on it again over the last 6 months. I just put my head down and just put the pedal to the metal.
So when did you contact Kindle?
Oh, as far as Kindle goes,
so let's say did you contact them in the middle of you writing your manuscript, or did you contact them when you're done with the manuscript?
I was basically done by the time once I was done with it. Then I started setting up the account. I didn't even I didn't do anything. I didn't even have the account set up until about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. So
it took about 2 months from when you finished with your manuscript to now it being published in the 4th of July.
That's a pretty fair estimate. Yeah.
And most of it is due to formatting, because this is the first time you're doing a book, and your challenge was with the format. Because even getting the cover or whatnot, I mean, you just hire Fiverr, one of the creative talents there, to do it for you. Or you can just do it yourself if you want. Doesn't really matter. You
can do it yourself. Yes, you can do it yourself. They have a cover creator in Kindle, so if you have an idea for a cover, you can always do it yourself as well. So So that's awesome.
But Golf had a question for you about training.
Okay, yeah, let me go ahead and read this question. Thank you for your questions. I really appreciate it. Did they cut time off training when they cut the desert phase? I did 3 weeks of jump school, and I think it's like 2 weeks now, both wearing great PTs, get great writing, Unc. All right, yes. So, get writing, Unc. Yeah, he's encouraging you to get started on your book. To answer the first part of the question, the school, I think the school might have been like, the school is currently 60, I don't know what it is now, but it's probably 62 days. That's how many days it was when I graduated. Prior to that, it was, I only think they lost a few days though when they cut the desert phase, because what they did was, and a lot of people are like, oh, it was harder with the desert phase. And I'm like, yeah, it was hard, but it was just as hard with only the 3 phases because we had more time in the field, if that makes sense. And I think it's actually better with 3 phases because you spend more time. You actually can learn more, even though you're getting your soul crushed every day and you're not eating or sleeping. But I felt like we got more reps going through the 3rd time. I know the field exercises were longer. The first time I went through, I think it was only like 7 days. And then the last time I went through, they added like 3 to 4 days to the field exercises, and they added 3 to 4 days to the train up and the cadre led patrolling. So I kind of feel like it evens out though. But yeah. And as far as jump school, I was 3 weeks when I went. I remember that for sure. Because I remember when I jumped out of the plane the first time, I was like, geez, I could have done this after
jump out of the plane.
I
thought you were in the Army. You have to jump. Oh yeah, you have to jump out of the plane. Ooh.
Yeah, airborne infiltration is a big part of the Rangers. So for sure.
I always think of the Marines when they do that because of all the movies I saw.
Yeah, Heartbreak Ridge. Heartbreak Ridge with Gunny Highway, Clint Eastwood and Mario Von Peebles.
They're all Rangers.
No, those guys are Marines. Those guys are Marines.
Exactly. Yeah. So I speak Chinese. I want to learn a different language. Awesome. I mean, you speak multiple languages. How do you get to pick it up? And like, if you had to pick up a language now at your age, which is my excuse, like I'm too old to learn a new language, can you? And also, what are some of the tricks to pick up languages? Because you speak so many of them, right? So like, do you go with conversation first, or do you study the words? So how do you go about learning Filipino or Tagalog, Japanese, and Thai?
Yeah, that's I'll give you a quick recap. Was my initial exposure to languages was through the Thai course. It's called
I saw that. It's in the description. Course. Correct. You took a Thai course, right?
Yeah. So it was only 6 months. It was basically 6 months of language school at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, during my training to be a Green Beret. And at the time, and to tell you the truth, as far as I learned the basics in it, I learned a lot, but I learned a lot more after I got out of the course, because I'd say about 90% of my knowledge is from self-study, honestly.
How do you self-study a language? Do you go and just learn the words, or do you try to converse with people? Or
it's a bit of everything. A little column A, a little column B, because I made flashcards. When I first started learning Thai, the trick was, I knew if you speak Chinese, so I don't know if you read it or not, but
I used to.
But that's an extremely hard language to pick up. But
Chinese is tough,
as far as Thai goes, they have a phonetic alphabet, but it's not a English. But the characters have a tonal value.
Like Japanese and Korean. My wife has been learning Korean, and it's like all the characters in Korean are phonics of a particular word. So a lot of times she understands, like she can read the words, but not understand what the word means, because phonically, same thing with Thai.
Yes, you run into that a lot, which actually helps, because so a lot of it has to do with me a lot of it was rogue memorization by just learning, getting flashcards and going through decks of flashcards for hours on end. And then some of it involved watching Thai TV shows. And at first it's just seeing what you can pick up. Like you might pick up a couple of snippets from a conversation, and then you might rewatch it a couple more times and pick up something else. And a lot of it had to do with just going to a lot of Thai restaurants and sitting down and talking to the people working there and striking up a conversation with them.
So how do you pick up Japanese and Tagalog? Because you didn't go to school for that, right?
No, I did not. So with the Tagalog, that was interesting, because after 9/11, we deployed to the Philippines.
Right, you told me, right.
The southern Philippines, to Mindanao, and southern Mindanao, and Zamboanga City, and Basilan, which is an island south of the southern tip of the mainland Philippines. Wait a minute, hold on, that's a different island. There's so many islands in the Philippines.
Yes, there's hundreds of them. There's hundreds of them and hundreds of dialects. I found out.
That's correct.
Coming from Hawaii, I thought Filipino is Filipino, and then when I came up to the mainland, I realized, most of them are Visayans and Ilocanos.
Ilocanos, for sure,
they weren't speaking quote unquote national Philippine, which is Tagalog. I had no clue because I don't speak Filipino.
Yeah, a lot of these guys are like, a lot of these guys speak English really well too. So
exactly.
They train in English.
So how did you pick up the Tagalog? I mean, obviously you have no base, right? You didn't study anything.
Well, I started learning from the soldiers. We were working with the soldiers, and I just got to be interested. I was like, I just had a feeling. I'm like, you know what? We're going to be here a while. this GWAT, this global war on terrorism, isn't going to be like it's not going to be a one and done.
It's a new business altogether, man.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Now it's the terrorist, whoever the terrorist is.
I know. Yeah.
Like the Top Gun movie where they don't even name the enemy. It's just fight the enemy, because then number one, the movie doesn't offend any country, and number two, it's an enemy, which is basically what America is fighting now, an enemy.
Right, exactly. It's whoever becomes that category. But that was a very interesting process, because I found that having had learned Thai before, at that point I was actually at a certain level of fluency in Thai. I wouldn't say I was really fluent, but I was scoring about a 2 in my the defense language program testing that we do every year. So I was scoring about a 2.2 on that. So that's
what's the best? What's the best?
The highest there's certain tests that go up to 5 actually.
And
but the test we take only goes up to 3.
So I was at a 2.
So I was at a 2 level at that time. 2 is more like conversational. And you can understand some more difficult concepts, but you're limited in your vocabulary and limited in your ability to, and you make grammatical errors. That's a 2-level speaker.
So I know in Japanese it's very different. In Japanese they would put they don't put the person first. They put the task first and then the person after.
Exactly. Yes.
So is that the same thing in Thai and also Tagalog?
It's a great question. I have to think about this for a second, because I have to actually think
because
about
in Chinese is spoken much like English, where I'm going to go to work. So in Cantonese, that means I am going to go to work. Right. In Japanese, I think it's work. I'll work me or something.
Yeah. Shigoto ni ikimasu.
Yeah. Ikimasu means right now or something.
Let's say shigoto is work.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. And then ni is like where as a marker, and then ikimasu is like the verb to go.
Exactly.
Watashi wa shigoto ni ikimasu. I will go to work.
Right.
Ima is like today. Ima wa.
So in Thai, do they say I'm going to go to work, or do they say some form of what Japanese do, which is work?
Thai would be pom jabai ti tam nan. So it's the same. Pom is me. Ja is like a marker for future tense. Bai is the word to go. T is like a place marker, like ni in Japanese, and then tam nan is the thing. So it's actually kind of flows in the same direction. So it's not so bad as far as grammar.
How do you get those words out of your mouth? Like when I hear people, especially Vietnamese and Thai, I'm thinking like, I think they're speaking backwards. But
it is. It's a whole. You're gonna laugh about it. I tell you this. I actually had to get to a point where I could pronounce a vowel. You have to smile, and there's other vowels like me, ah, and you have to get these vowels right, and you have to get your mouth. So you have to be conscious of your mouth, how it's moving until you get it down and it becomes more natural. And I actually started developing some soreness because I was working so hard on the vowels that, it's like working any other muscle, you just get sore when you're not used to working it.
So out of the 3 languages, which is the easiest to learn?
Tagalog.
Tagalog's the easiest?
I think so, only because, and here's the reason I'm saying this, I think, but I would caveat that. I would say Tagalog grammar is hard, but if you want to just start speaking a language, like if you had a week to learn a language and you just as much as you could, Tagalog, you could learn the most in 1 week.
Really?
By in a week, I could have you speaking Tagalog to a point where, and there's two reasons for that. One of it is because of using actually maybe we're three reasons. I'll say three reasons. One of the reasons is because it uses English characters, so it's very easy to read. It's instantaneous. You could pick it up as far as like sounding it out. Once you learn how to sound out different vowels a little bit differently, you learn there's no C, there's just a K.
Hey, you know you got a YouTube channel, right?
Yeah.
So you can do that 1 week course, right? So people like me can learn. And coming from
that's a great idea.
Your channel would blow up because so many people want to learn different, and you can speak 3 different languages. I mean, I love your hiking videos and all, but if you're gonna teach me something, that is actually the biggest thing. Like within the YouTube world, fitness is the worst. Like in terms of
hard, right? It is hard.
Being popular and getting, especially if I don't look the part, anybody, it doesn't matter who, right? So the stuff that works the most. Number 1 is personalities. Number 2 is finance, and number 3 is your how-tos.
That's interesting, and that's a very good point. Because about in like June of 2020, I released a video, and I just did it as a goof. It was sort of like. But it was interesting because that video I released was how to attach shoulder straps to a military issued Alice pack. And the occasion was I just ordered new straps for my rucksack. And I was like, what the heck? I'll make a video about it.
Exactly.
At first, it didn't blow up at first. So I just thought, whatever, I won't do it again. But I didn't go to my channel for a while. And months later, I looked at that channel, and that video is still getting views today.
Yeah, so like that's the reason why. That's the reason why my channel started with recording all my sessions for burpee, because I'm 50 plus. Yes. I just want to record them for the sake of recording, right? Like my quote unquote accolades of what I could do into my 50s. So when I'm 80 and if I'm still alive, I'm okay. I used to do burpees, But then after about a year of doing it, I started branching out, and in the YouTube world, when you have a video that constantly gets views without much comments, those are called evergreen videos. And all my evergreen videos, none of them are fitness. They're all like how I make a dish, or how I fix a gate, or how I do something. Right?
So you call them evergreen, like
they're called evergreen videos. No, it's not my term. It's in the YouTube world. They're called evergreen videos. And so for a lot of content creators, they want evergreen videos, the kind of video where people always go back to watch, or some new person goes, I need to know how to wear that thing that you talk about, the rucksack. I need to know how to do it, and then they'll go and watch it. I mean, I literally just this past winter, I put up a video on how to turn on a Hamilton gas lamp, or the heat lamp thing. I didn't wasn't to catch anything, but people watch because I never done it before, so they want to know how to turn it on.
So you figure it out. You're like, I might as well tell everybody about
it. But it's constant. It's a constant. I will get views every day. So if you put up videos on how to speak a language in a week or something like that, dude, I'd be watching it all the time. And then because right now I'm trying to learn the British accent. I'm trying to learn the British accent just for fun because my daughters do it so well. And so I'm watching those videos, and those videos get like millions of views because everybody wants to speak like a British citizen, And
it's true because British accents are great to have. My daughter does acting, and she's practicing her British accent.
Yeah, it has to do with the T's and the R's and the O's.
Right.
Yeah. So there's the same thing. There's all these rules. So especially because of your ethnicity, and you're teaching Tagalog, you will probably get more views than a Filipino teaching Tagalog, because they're gonna look at you and go, "Dude, that guy can do it. I can do it."
No, that's a great point. Because there's a lot of tricks that I learned. As far as like how do you memorize?
But for a Filipino national, it's their natural language, so they can't even tell you what the tricks are. I was just born speaking it, so this is how you speak it, and you were like, how do you make that noise or what? Because they would have no clue how to teach that because their first language was Tagalog, where your first language was English. So if you go out and teach them Tagalog, you're gonna give them all these tricks. They're gonna go, that's how you do it, and that was something that a native person of that language would not be able to teach because they would not have knowledge of that.
Right, exactly. That's true. That's a really good point. Excellent.
So I would take all your courses, and then if they become popular, you can make it payable once you become monetized.
Well, that's true.
They do that. They do that a lot. There's a lot of channels that do that.
I like that. That's a really good idea. Yeah, I love it. Fantastic.
Yeah, because because I know you like your hiking and the other stuff, but if you start just try a couple, do like you say your one day, and then see what the response is, and then even if it doesn't hit, you wait a few months and see what happened, because you can speak three different languages. That's very rare for someone to be able to speak multiple languages, and you learn all those.
Yeah. I acquired them all as an adult, which is a lot of the excuses I hear is that, I can't learn the language. I'm an adult,
That's the first question I asked you. Like, my excuse for not being able to learn a language now is I'm too old, right? But it's mostly I just don't know the tricks. Right.
Yeah. So one of the things that I could tell you is it's definitely different learning a language as an adult than as a kid, because there's like I read this book a while ago. I can't remember what it was called, but they were talking about the language, like ability of children to learn languages is so much greater because they're more receptive, and it's something to do with their brain. Honestly.
Well, I can tell you the reason. I can tell you the reason already. Hey, Simply CM, she's Filipino. Go talk to her in Filipino.
Hey, ¿cómo ka, kapatid?
Yeah, she's living in Europe. I think Sweden or Netherlands. I forgot which one.
Oh, that's cool. Right on. I'll have to check out her channel also.
Yeah. So what was I saying? Yeah. I forgot what I was saying.
About like being able to pick up languages as an adult.
Right. The reason why we can't do it is because we have too many things in our head. Like, as we're talking right now, my mind and your mind is thinking of something else. Whereas a child, when you talk to them in general, they're not thinking of something else. Because as an adult, you just have multiple channels in your head going, doing different things. Like, I'm planning what I'm going to do after this interview. I'm planning what to eat for lunch, But for kids, their focus is so laser when you talk to them. And same thing when they go to school, that they are more receptive to learning whatever it is, because their brain is not fractured like ours in terms of how many things we're thinking about.
You're absolutely right. That's definitely true. So the thing with the adults is, I always say that kids can learn languages without really trying. They can just learn it through osmosis. But for adults, I don't really think, because here's the thing, right? I have friends who have been in the Philippines or Japan for years, and they don't speak a lick of Vietnamese.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So pretty much disproves the theory that you can learn a language through osmosis as an adult. You can't. You have to physically put it. That's the thing that makes it hard. You have to put your mind to learning it. So you have to actually. It's kind of like with working out. You have to sort of train yourself to do it.
You have to be proactive. You have to be proactive, like wanting to learn the language. It wouldn't. Right. It would
You're
just
not
come by.
Yeah.
So I guess my wife's been pushing me to learn Mandarin. So
that's great.
I have to try it, because I can speak Cantonese, but then mostly at like first grade level or second grade at the most. In terms of conversing, my enunciation is good, but sometimes if you tell me hard words, I'm going, huh? Okay, whatever. Like, I don't know what you said. like I would listen to a Cantonese song, I would understand like only me, my, love, all the rest of the words is like I have no clue what you're singing about.
Talking about,
I think this is a sad song because of the music, but I have no clue what the words are.
You don't know what they're saying exactly.
No, because those words are like college level or whatever, right? So that's one thing I want to learn. I want to learn probably Spanish too. I would assume those are too easy, because I can practice with my wife for Mandarin and Spanish. I just run around everywhere in the West Coast. Some Spanish dude is going to talk to me, right? If I talk to them.
That's a fact. That's a fact. So
those are my goals, and I'll try to learn those too. And then in terms of now, you were stationed in Hawaii for how many years?
Let's see. I was stationed there for about 4 years with JPAC. So just to let the viewers know, you know what it is, but I know what it is. But JPAC, I think it's called DPAA now, but regardless, it's the same organization. What they'll do is they go to different countries and they work with the host nation governments to try to bring back our missing in action. So we try to bring back the remains of people who were, guys who were left behind, like mostly during the Vietnam War, but there's been a lot of World War II activity on the islands in the Pacific, like Tarawa and places of that sort. So it's a very and the reason I got in there was because I was a Special Forces medical sergeant. But most of the people who work there, they're mortuary affairs, and then you got 25th Infantry Division. They get guys can be stationed there. A lot of infantry guys actually, but other different. Sorry about that. The dryer.
No worries.
Oh no, that dryer is terrible. Sorry guys.
It's okay, no worries.
You know, and there's the so it's a really cool organization. You work with the Marines, explosive ordnance disposal, of course, because of the different places that might have landmines and grenades and stuff laying around from the war. So it's a very interesting mission. And you work with archaeologists also from the Department of Defense, or non-military folks, the civilians, and they're contracted. So it's a very diverse organization. It was a lot of fun to be there.
You were stationed right in Pearl Harbor, or Schofield, Hickam? Well, you were right in Pearl Harbor, right?
We were at Pearl Harbor, yes. So we were on the Pearl Harbor side. I think they moved. I think they have a new headquarters now on the Hickam side.
Yeah, my understanding is one of the military bases closed. I think it was Kaneohe. I'm not exactly sure, because I'm not a military person. I know Hickam is still there. I'm pretty sure Schofield Barracks is still there too.
Schofield has to be there. Yeah, it's 25th ID. So.
No, I don't know, but I mean, I found out after I left Hawaii. I call our state the Banana Republic, but the number one employee in our state, number 1 and 2, is between the Hawaii government and the U.S. military. I don't know which, I forgot which, but those are the two biggest employers in Hawaii. Hawaii's own government and also the military. So you guys do a big part in our economy, It
is such a huge, there's such a huge thing with the military. I would think tourism would be up there also.
No, it's military and Hawaii government. Those are the two biggest employers.
Wow.
Because you guys have a lot of people coming out, and then obviously because of what happened to Pearl Harbor, there's a reason why they station so many people there, because it's a good launching point to go to the rest of the Asia.
Totally. It's very strategic. Yes.
And then Guam is another one too, but Guam, you don't really need them because you're in Okinawa. So
Okinawa. So Guam is nice to have. Yeah, Guam is nice to have.
I know they're trying to build. I know they're building a big base there now, or like a couple of years ago already. They've been starting. Because there's been blowback in Okinawa where they don't want you guys to be there. I don't know why they don't want you to be there, but
I know I'll be honest. I have some ideas about that. I think that in general, the people of Okinawa like the military. It's kind of like in Hawaii. You got some people who don't like the military. There's a lot of these guys are like, oh, Hawaii, or nothing, and it's like, yeah, I get it, but at the same time, Okinawa has some people like that too. It's just a lot of it has to do with Okinawa's history has a lot to do with they're more intertwined with China than they are with Japan.
Yeah, they're not even considered Japanese in some parts of Japan. It's really, I didn't know that either, because like a lot of my friends are actually Okinawans in Hawaii, and I had no clue either. Like I knew all this. I learned more about Hawaii when I left Hawaii. Can you believe that?
Yes, that's how it always happens, though. Isn't that how it always happens? But I was lucky because when I retired, I did I was doing my Asian Studies degree at University of Maryland on base. So one of my classes was Okinawa History, and it was so great because it was like a hybrid. So we were online for half of the time, and the other half of the time we basically just went on field trips around the island. Then we would write about the field trips.
Wow.
It was so cool. I learned so much about the island. I learned that there was this place I would always run on Torrey Beach, and it was like this high point, and that was where the U.S. forces came in. I didn't even know this the whole time. I've been running here the whole time, and I didn't even know that this is where the U.S. Forces had landed.
Yeah, Okinawa is actually a big part of Hawaii. Like one of our favorite dishes in Hawaii is the oxtail soup. It was actually hugely influenced by Okinawans' oxtail soup, right? So there's all these things, and like I had no clue. Speaking of food, what was your favorite thing that you missed eating in Hawaii that maybe you can eat now in Arizona? There's a lot of locals over there too, but what is something that you remember eating? Like the first time you tried poi, if you tried poi, or the lao?
Poke was really good. I like the poke, because it's sort of like sushi, but it's got like a different twist to it. You know what I mean? So and my daughter loves ahi poke. That's like her favorite thing. And this is a really cool ahi poke place. It's probably not as good as the one in Hawaii, but it's still pretty decent. So she likes to eat there. And then, of course, there's different noodles, which are, either Okinawan or Japanese in origin. But they also have a lot of that influence in Hawaii. So indirectly, but you can get some really good noodles in Hawaii for sure.
So the 4 years you spent there, have you ever tried poi?
I don't know if I did or not.
It's a purple-looking paste.
Oh wait, I have tried it a little bit. It wasn't like
some locals like it, but a lot of people like me have to eat it with sugar.
Yeah. Is it really? I'm trying to remember. Is it really bitter, kind of?
No, it's basically taro grounded up.
Oh, okay. I have tried it. Yeah.
There's so many interesting food. I mean, Hawaii is one of the few places where Asian fusion first came about, because we have so many Japanese, Chinese, Filipino, and they all make different things, and they lump them together, And then so we have all these interesting dishes. And so in terms of local food, I mean, every time I go back to Hawaii, which I still call home, all I do is eat. I mean, even if I sit down and have lunch with my family or whatever, in general, typically it's Chinese, right? So I would sit there and not even eat because I want to eat all the local food. I don't want to eat no Chinese food in Hawaii.
No, I get Chinese food anywhere.
The Chinese food in the mainland is actually better than Hawaii now, and cheaper, right?
Yeah.
So,
that's true, yeah.
So now, out of all the places you've been to, if you could, instead of living where you're living at, where would you choose to live?
Oh man, that's a tough one. I'll tell you the truth. I mean, I have a couple ones I have in mind. The Philippines would be great because I have a lot of family there from my wife's side of the family. So
I would love to visit Philippines.
Oh, I love that. It's so great. Yeah.
And the cost of living is much lower too.
It is. It really is. I mean, and it's so great being in the Philippines. It's such a great place. As far as my daughter, she loved being in Okinawa. That was her favorite place to be.
Really?
Yeah, we have a lot of friends there. It would be nice to be in Okinawa. I mean, Hawaii would be nice too. But I still visit there. But it's so expensive.
It's too expensive. I mean, if I tell everybody, even if I won the lottery, I wouldn't move back to Hawaii because it's too remote. It is too remote. Like this is the 4th of July where we're doing this, right?
Yeah.
So if I were to live in Hawaii, I could possibly fly up to the mainland on a vacation, but it'd be cut short, right? Yeah. But living in the mainland, like you, where you're at, you can literally go anywhere and fly to the East Coast and come back. Oh, it's only a 4 or 5 hour trip. But Hawaii, anywhere you're going, is 6 to 7 hours.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And the thing about you kind of run out of room too. You're driving along, and I found that was the craziest thing when I first got to Hawaii. Driving up towards, trying to get up to the North Shore, from Mililani. I think I was in Mililani, so trying to get to North Shore, and I'm on this road, California Avenue. It's going, and it keeps going, and I'm like, okay, this is great. It'll probably take me there. Then you hit a dead end. You're like, wait a second, and there's only one way there. So
the last time I drove to North Shore, I took my kids to eat at Matsumoto's Shave Ice and also the Giovanni Shrimps.
Yes,
we finished eating lunch there, so maybe 1 or 2 o'clock. So at that time, our hotel was in Waikiki. It took me 2 hours to get back from Matsumoto's to Waikiki, and I was trying all the ways I knew, like going through Dillingham and everything. All the shortcuts, they were all clogged, and that was like 3-4 years ago. I mean, there's so many cars there. It is so terrible, And
I can't even imagine.
Yeah, I always tell people like Cutter Ford and all the local dealers for car in Hawaii.
Yeah,
their job is to sell cars. Yeah, every year they sell thousands of them probably.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah.
How many car leaves? How many car leaves the island?
Not many. I don't think too many.
Exactly. They're all stuck on the island. I mean,
that's right.
I remember my car was stolen, right, over by Salt Lake, and they found it the next day somewhere else because there's no place to take it.
They were like, "Okay, I stole this car. What am I gonna do with it? Oh crap!"
Exactly. They joyrided it for a while and they just left it.
What are they gonna do? To jump in the water and try to swim?
I have no idea. So where you're at, if they stole your car, they're probably never gonna find it because they probably drive it off your state.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
so I tell people, like, all these things you don't know about Hawaii. If you visited there, it's a different thing than when you live there. Exactly,
Yeah.
right? When you live there for 4 years, very different.
Oh, yeah.
How many times did you actually see the ocean? I mean, we in Pearl Harbor. I mean, actually go to the beach and lay there and things like that.
Oh, as far as like just actually, well, I mean, not as much as you would think, because
Exactly.
It was. I mean, a lot of times sometimes we would do staycation, so we would go downtown and we would, check into the hotel and we would spend a weekend there, which was nice, But yeah, other than that, once every few months, we would do.
Yeah,
that.
exactly. So when you live there,
at the beach every day, or
when you live there, it's just like where you are living, except maybe nicer weather, nicer people, whatever.
Yeah.
But you're not there to quote unquote enjoy Hawaii when you live there. When you vacation there, every day you're at the beach or whatever.
Right. It's a totally different experience, and plus, as far as you mentioned, the cost of living and the fact that you're, things cost money, and at that point you're like, okay, can I afford to do this, or maybe I need to. I know so many people who are working families that are in multi-family houses, and everyone has a job.
Yeah,
And
3 generations in one house.
So they can keep the house. I mean,
there are 3 generations sometimes in one house.
Right,
the grandpa, the parents, and then the kids, and then sometimes they might have their kids, which is like 4 generations.
Yeah,
because they're all trying to save money to get. Probably the grandpa or grandma owns the house, and the parents got there, and then they got their kids, and then maybe the parents leave with their kids. And I mean, that's kind of how Hawaii works, and people don't know,
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's interesting. It's very interesting. It's very interesting. You know what's funny? That reminds me. I just saw this movie with Jason Segel and Paul Rudd's in it for a little bit, and Mila Kunis. It's called Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that's still in Hawaii.
And there's this one scene, right, where he's like, "Hey, I want to go out," So Jason Segel, he's trying to forget about his ex-girlfriend or ex-wife, whatever. And so Mila Kunis takes him on the island, and it's like once you get outside the resort, it's like a completely different world. And he's going to these luau's on the beach, and these guys are just like, the guys he knows from the hotel. One guy punches him in the face.
I mean, that's Hawaii, right? Like even when I was growing up, we never worry about getting stabbed or getting shot. Only thing we worry about was getting beat up by soles.
Yeah.
That's all we care. Like, there's a Samoans, we better be. That's all we care. Like, we don't get beat up by Soles or Samoans, right?
Yeah,
I never got beaten up by a Samoan, but they're all nice people. But that's just like when you're growing up, that's all you thought about. You never you always talk about getting going to scrap or going to fights, but you never worry about somebody pulling a gun on you, like living in the mainland right now, right? You worry if you go to a stop, you honk at someone might shoot you here.
Exactly, right. Yeah, you just look at somebody wrong, That's
true. Back home, you look at somebody wrong, they just go, "What? You want beef?" That's all they want to do. They want to go, throw down with you. They don't really want to stab you, nothing, and so.
That's true. It's true. You're right about that. Yeah.
So what is your next step after this book is published? Are you planning like part 2 and 3, or?
That's a great, interesting question. I have to really look into what my next book. I definitely feel like I want to write another book because of what I've learned from the experience. I feel like I could streamline the process a lot. Both the writing process and the publishing process. But as far as I'm trying to figure out what my next book is going to be, and I have a lot more to write about. But when you start talking about special forces training, you start running into a lot of NDAs.
Yeah, you cannot write about them.
You have to be very careful about what you discuss. So I feel like it's almost to a point where I don't know if I could tell some of these stories yet. I'm not trying to sound like, everything's classified. These guys that have my file has been sealed. It's not like that. But I'm just saying that there are NDAs that are involved with a lot of the training for obvious reasons that I won't get into. But so I'd have to be very careful about crossing lines. So I feel like it would be harder to tell the story. I could tell stories, but it would be harder to give context. So I don't know how well they would be received.
What you can do is write stories about you being stationed in the Philippines with the special forces, but your experience in the Philippines, not your military action.
Yeah.
Or like when you talk about Okinawa, right? When you're
that aspect of it.
And then you talk about you being a military personnel living in a foreign land and
that's an idea.
And
that's
what the experience is like. So for people that number one wants to live that experience, they will get a vicarious experience from you. And for people that lived it, they might reminisce. And then for people that maybe want to do it, they'll get a guideline, just like what you're trying to do with your Rangers book, where you're trying to tell them, well, to be a Ranger, this is what I went through in case you want to go through it. But the same thing about living there, because a lot of people might not want to join the military, but they might want to move to the Philippines, or they might want to go to Thailand, right? And they want to know it's just like Hawaii. Like I actually read a book about living in the mainland versus Hawaii, like what the difference is. So because a lot of people don't know, right? And so that's one aspect that you can try and go through. I should be your publishing agent. I'm giving you a lot of I should be your business advisor, giving you website content and book content.
Yeah, you'd be great for it. I tell you, you'd be perfect. That is awesome. That's a great idea. I was also thinking about doing a book about leadership.
Yes,
like a leadership book. And it kind of like I was thinking about different ways to approach it. Maybe having something like taking people whom I thought were good leaders and kind of break down their leadership styles, and possibly even if I could get a hold of those people, maybe get
interviews.
Get some quotes or get interviews from them, and maybe just identify like maybe 3 or 4 major aspects of leadership, and then give examples with people who have led, who have been under, and kind of like, and then possibly if I get a hold of those people, get their insight into the book. That might be another interesting approach. So I'm not sure how I'm going to approach that, but I have some ideas on that also.
Yeah, but that's one of the reasons why I was interested in chatting with you with your book being released. I want to know the process, and it seems like it's effortless almost to write a book. So that opens up nowadays, when we were growing up, because I'm a little bit older than you, but similar age. For me to publish a book, it's impossible, growing up. For us to even to release a song, nowadays you can just go to CD Baby and release a song like that.
Exactly.
But when we were growing up, there's no avenues to do any of that.
No, you had to start a band, you had to play gigs, you had to
now forget the band. You just get a digital audio workstation. You can program you don't even have to know how to play music. You just program them.
I know. Yeah, so I guess that's the downside to it too. I guess I would say like the upside is that anybody can release a song, anybody can write a book. The downside is anybody can release a song.
Exactly. But if you just want to, if that's just part, I don't know if writing a book is your bucket list, right? But that's one of my bucket lists, to like write a book and publish a CD. Right. Sure. So it seems like it's so easy. Like why not? Like you say, why not? Why not write a book? So
why not? That's exactly. That's why I asked. You said, why write a book? You said, why not write one?
Exactly. because and there's no cost involved, right? There's no cost involved for you to publish the book. In fact, you make money from it when the book gets sold.
When it sells, the only cost you have is maybe your feelings get hurt if it doesn't sell. But it doesn't matter. It's just like making a video. It doesn't.
But you and I been around the block a few times. I think we both have very thick skin.
Hell yeah!
Nobody cares, right? The main thing is really just doing the thing and then accomplishing it. Nobody likes it. Whoop-de-doo.
Right. Exactly.
So that's not that hard to write a book. But I'm looking forward to actually your videos on how to speak Tagalog.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess I'll start getting to work on those. That sounds like a good
idea. Because you're telling me out of the 3 languages, that's the easiest to learn, right?
It is. I would say yes. As far as like getting a foothold in it, and you could be conversational. Probably having conversations about a week, actually.
Yeah. So I have Tagalog friends where I'm at, so I can practice with them by calling them. And then I have a lot of, just like you, I have a lot of subscribers. That is Filipino as well.
Yeah.
If I start busting out to Tagalog, it'll be hilarious.
Oh, I know. Yeah, totally.
Or I can actually go to these live streams and start typing in Tagalog. And then, the other great thing that I use a lot for a lot of my international subscribers, I use Translate Google a lot. So that's another avenue that we can use to learn the enunciations, right?
Oh, that's true. Yeah. And that's funny you said that, because sometimes I got people Filipinos on live streams, and I'll type in Tagalog, and they'll be like, "Oh, I think Robbie's using a Google Translate."
Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm not actually speaking Tagalog for about 20 years.
No. Well, I am using a translator, but you for sure. And then once you start busting out the speaking it, I'm pretty sure most of your subscribers are like, oh my gosh, he actually speaks it.
That's true.
No, I'm not kidding. Your channel could be completely transformed. I'm really not kidding. Your channel could be transformed to a language learning channel because you speak 3 languages.
Yeah, that's a fact. Yeah, you're right.
And then once YouTube algorithm catches it, just like your rucksack thing, and then it'll start building momentum, and you can just start doing it as. I mean, you still put like me. I still put burpees up, but if you look at what I'm doing is I'm not doing it every day anymore. Maybe once a week, and sometimes I'm going to do it maybe once every 2 weeks, unless I'm doing something crazy. Because
true,
Because in honesty, who wants to watch me do 1,000 burpees? No
one.
one.
It's motivating. It's definitely inspired me. I saw that video and I was like, wow, that's you guys.
Right, but mostly it's for me. Mostly it's for me to record the heck I did it. Like not to toot my own horn, but it's mostly for me. And I appreciate all the subscribers who come in and support me. But in the YouTube world, everyone's looking for, like what I told you, the evergreen videos. And those are the ones that's going to get you to be more popular.
That's a great idea,
that's good stuff. Just like the rucksack one. You can try. You can literally a backpack and a rucksack one, and do another one on how to put another military gear.
I was thinking about that. I was also thinking about there was this channel which I need to get reconnected with him. His name is Spearin Outdoors. He's in Ireland, I think. You probably know him. I haven't been on his channel. I need to get back over to him because I just went back to YouTube. But he did one about using a compass and bearings.
Exactly. I know how to use one.
And I was like, man, I know I'm an expert on that. Like there's so many things that I learned about for land navigation.
I do not know. I don't even know what a compass looked like.
And then there's also with a map and learning how to read the map data and learning how to track the angle so you know which direction you're
heading. You could even do what is called a prepper's channel. In the event that there's no electricity and we don't have these things, we have no clue because there's no map.google, whatever.
You got a map.
What do I do with a stupid map?
What do I do with this map exactly?
I don't know what to do with it. And what is this thing? What does this come out? And then and then because once you put those content on YouTube, it might not, like you say, like my biggest video was how to clean razor clam. For 6 months, it was just nothing.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, now it's got almost close to 9,000 views.
Yeah, it's like a sleeper.
So every time I put a video that's non-burpee, I'm thinking, okay, hopefully it hits, because you never know, right? Yeah. So, but I guarantee you, I think I have on a few hundred videos, 0 is evergreen for workouts.
That's true. Yeah, you're right.
So I know the average already, right? If I put out a workout video, I know how many views I can potentially get, but none of them will be evergreen. But if I put out a video that's non-burpee or non-fitness, there's a chance, just like Dumb and Dumber. Right? So you say there's a chance.
You're telling me? So you're saying there's a chance? Yes. I read you.
Yeah, there's a chance, right? Versus no chance, because I have historical data out of all my hundreds of videos. There was 0 chance if it's workout. But anything else other than workout, I mean, literally, my walking on airports got more views.
Oh yeah, those were cool. I gotta go back and check those out again.
I know, but even those got more views than my 2,000 burpee or whatever.
Yeah, and the effort you put into the 2,000 burpee is a hell of a lot more than you put in.
I was just stuck in the airport waiting for the planes. Like, I was just take a video.
I was a video of me walking. That's cool though. Yeah, that's where the ideas come.
Right. Sure. So I really appreciate chatting with you. I love doing these kind of chats simply because we both learn from each other, and obviously it looks like I learned more from you than you from me. So
I don't know. You gave me some good ideas, so I'm definitely gonna be hitting you up on those ideas for maybe some more input down the road.
And then when the book comes out, everyone, the book, all the links are below in the description. You can check out Robbie's channel as well as his book. And then it's for Kindle, it's what, $6? Is that what it is? I think it's
$5.99. I think
exactly. Yeah, and then you can just read it in Kindle. So it's at 900 plus. How much is a physical book?
Physical book is going to be, I believe it's going to be $15.99.
Is it paperback?
It's going to be paperback, and the reason is more because of the cost of the paper.
Wow.
And to be honest with you, whichever one you buy, it benefits me the same. So truthfully, in the military, we say it's a shooter's choice. So don't think that if you have to buy the more expensive book to support me, you're actually helping me the same. Whatever you buy is great. I appreciate every order. I just appreciate everybody's support, and thank you so much. Thank you so much, everybody.
Well, it's been a fantastic chat, but I spent 1 hour of your life, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. You're great to see you.
Fun, Robbie.
All right. We'll see you again soon. Thank you.
All right. Enjoy your weekend. Happy 4th.
You too. Happy 4th. God bless you all.
And thank you for your service as well.
Thank you. Thank you.